somebody said Cubs win. I wonder.
And
why.
All right. So, first we'd like to take a look at the approval of the minutes from February 3rd. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those?
Yep.
And if there are no changes or comments, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Wolford. Okay.
Second,
Yes, I believe so. And who seconded?
Wolford seconded. I'm not sure who was the first.
Oh, I saw your hand go up.
Oh, John.
John. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All in
Oh.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the minutes passed. Mark or Daphne, is there any other information, any new business that you'd like to share? I know that you had sent an email with a couple of items from the town of Westport. Anything else?
I forwarded to you this afternoon the resolutions, the signed resolutions that they were drafted in your packet, but now you have the signed ones. They are in the meeting packet.
Okay, and everyone received those?
Yes.
Okay. Then Mark or Daphne, could you please just review the agenda for this evening's meeting?
I can do it. Daphne's in charge of the screen.
Okay.
I'm going to turn my audio down because I'm still getting feedback.
Excuse me, Mark or Paul, do you need me on the thing yet, or do you not want?
We have
me to
somebody who's
participate?
going to be leaving. A member is going to be leaving in 20 minutes. So we would appreciate you staying, Dave.
Yeah, nope, not a problem. I just don't know if I should vote.
Oh, actually, the person who's going to abstain was Katie, and she's not participating tonight. So we don't have anyone. That's abstaining.
Okay.
But in case somebody leaves, it would be because we do have somebody who indicated they have to leave.
Okay, I'll stay on.
Thank you, Dave. So the first matter before you tonight, the first public hearing is regarding 4914 Wakanda Drive. Variance for front and side setback. The property owner, Ken Lambrecht, is requesting a modification of the plan that was approved in February to construct a partially exposed basement beneath the two-car detached garage structure for which variances were approved, as I mentioned in February. The front structure would be located 6 feet 8.5 inches, including a 36 inch roof overhang from the front lot line, and 2 feet 6 3/4 inches, including a 12-inch roof overhang from the left side lot line. And the regulations require a side setback of at least 10 feet, and the structure in the parcel must be set back at least 20 feet from a Class D highway right-of-way line. So that is the hearing notice. We have received correspondence, which is also in your packet. And then, of course, you'll need to hold the hearing as well. The correspondence includes, the applicant's materials are in the packet, and then we have an email from Rob Metcalf, which provided the correspondence from his attorney. The two communications we got previously, he wished to have those in the record again, stating his opposition to the requests for the variance. Mr. Metcalf also provided photos, which are in your packet. And I believe those are the communications. I'm just double checking. Yeah.
Okay, Mark, just to clarify, this is Mark 2 here speaking. This is one we looked at before, and the only difference is they want to run the foundation.
Well, I haven't started the public portion of the meeting yet. So.
Well, actually, I appreciate, Mark. I meant to elaborate on that a bit. The change is that the exposed basement is now going to extend forward to the front lot, to the setback for the eaves.
Mark, before you start that, can I open the public part of the meeting if we're starting to go into discussing the variance request?
All right.
Okay, so with that, I'd like to open the public part of the meeting at 5:07.
Yep.
So now, if there's so Mark, you can go into the site inspection and some of this discussion.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I thought you had opened the hearing already, but I guess you hadn't.
I called it to order and I just hadn't opened the public portion.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, then I will repeat what I said, which is that we have materials in the packet from the applicant, Mr. Lambrecht, has his submittal. And then we also have the statement from a neighbor, Mr. Rob Metcalf, and two letters from his attorney that were provided with the previous variance request and that were in opposition to the variance request.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Then would Mr. Lambrecht like to make a statement?
I think everything has been stated. I think last time it was really just a matter of whether the foundation could be underground in line with the eaves. It was an unclear point. So I just came back to verify that as requested. That's really the only change in the variance. And yeah, my only clarification is I don't think there'll be much, if any, of that foundation up at that part exposed because of the steepness of the hill. So there will be some exposure, but it'll be down the hill and pretty much invisible unless somebody's coming down my walkway. So just a clarification on that.
Okay.
That's it. I think it's been covered well in the town. Tom, I don't know if you want to add anything, but it just kind of we went back through the process to get to this point to make sure that we had all of our T's crossed. And then I did put in motion, Mr. Metcalf has concerns about drainage. I've already spent at least $5,000 and more coming to put a drainage ditch as required by Dane County. The filtration bed, all the paperwork I sent over today, it's not been approved yet, but I hired Quam Engineering and they do really good work. Bill Montalbano's recommended them and they've done good work. So we're all in process to prevent any drainage issues. So to address that concern of his.
And for the record, as I mentioned earlier, we also received the town of Westport, the signed resolution, which Mr. Lambert just alluded to. So I just wanted to state that for the record as part of the input as well.
Do any other committee members have any questions for Mr. Lambrecht? Are there any participants on the call that would like to weigh in on this variance?
Wilson from Westport.
Yes.
If I could, Mr. Chair, just briefly.
Absolutely.
So, this, we talked about this a lot the last time. You spent a lot of time helping out Mr. Lambrecht with, the full requests that he was doing. And essentially at Westport, we had looked at it as he had proposed and is proposed now and had approved it. There were a couple conditions in that resolution which the ZBA didn't like and were appropriate to remove. So we did. And so this new resolution just refers to how the conditions from your previous approval as being part of Westport's recommendation. And the only other concerns, because we're working underground a little bit closer to the road right away, where we have our sewer line, we just want to make sure that's protected. And so we requested that condition that if there needs to be some kind of either construction protection or just a hold harmless clause, depending on what actually finds when he gets in there, we want to make sure that something's included with that. So that was really the recommendation, and that was dealt with at our town plan commission, the town board, and also the Middleton Westport joint zoning committee that made that recommendation to you. So we're certainly hoping, at least as a Westport staff, that is your approval consistent with that resolution. So thank you again for taking the time and meeting on this as well.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else on the call that would like to discuss? If there's no other questions from the committee, then we'll close the hearing now and discuss as a board.
I wasn't at your last meeting, but I've read through all the materials. This looks like it was approved last time, and this is a minor modification to what was approved. And I don't see any issue with it, especially that it's been through the process that it has and is supported seemingly everywhere.
Can you guys
Yeah,
hear me all right?
Yes, yeah.
This is Justin. Perfect. Sorry, I was having audio issues earlier. Just to tack on to what Bob said, really, he's just asking for that front setback, which is, as we talked yesterday, it's subterranean, so it's, you know, it's underneath the driveway. It doesn't really affect anything as far as I'm concerned. It's more of a logistical thing than anything else. And I think we approved everything else last time, so I don't see a reason to debate much further other than
Okay.
that extra couple feet.
You know, before we would take a vote, Mark, do we have to restate the hardship that was brought up at the last variance meeting and restate them, or?
I think that you're finding that this isn't, I think as Bob Mangus just said, it's not really a material, or Justin, I think just said it. It's more logistical. It's not a material change from the previous variance. I think, Bob,
Right.
That's what you said, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what you said. Given that you previously determined the variance was justified on grounds of hardship, and this isn't a material change, I'm comfortable with that. I mean, I suppose you could argue that what's the reason to, I mean, it doesn't hurt. I think it's good to cite a hardship, but you're finding that it's not a significant change, and you're providing the rationale for why it's not a significant change. It was all impervious. It's all, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's essentially what Bob was saying.
Exactly.
So we can
right.
refer that to our last meeting as far as hardships go. I think that really there is one difference, and that is when they extend this foundation out to the front, it does expose a little more concrete on the side where it slopes, if I'm reading this correctly. But there was already some there in the first place. Do you guys know what I'm saying? It slopes severely from the street down into the lot. So if you extend the
Oh, you're saying up at the drive, there'd be a little bit more
Right.
concrete
little
showing,
little more triangle of concrete visible, but
a little bit.
At the surface, you mean?
yeah, that's just to clarify the fact that there is a minor change. It isn't completely hidden.
But obviously not along the sides of the structure, because you needed the support for the driveway anyway.
You know, that's a good point, Mark. That needed to be supported anyway. So forget what I just said.
Well, that's why I was clarifying what you were saying. You were saying that it was at the driveway. There might be some material change, literally, driveway, asphalt versus concrete or whatever at the, where it covers the building, the structure beneath it, but the sides of the structure are unchanged.
Exactly.
Correct. Okay. Well, if there's no further comment or discussion or concerns, is there a motion?
I make a motion, we approve it.
Was that? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Based
Okay,
on based on no material change to the previous variance that was granted. Okay,
Correct. And I think John made the motion, and who seconded?
I got
It was
Justin.
Bob,
Yeah.
but,
Oh, it's Bob. Okay.
I think there was 3 of us that seconded about the same time.
okay, we were in a
Yeah, there
race.
was.
You can put down whoever.
Hey, Mark, or Paul, can I ask for a clarification? Is that subject to the conditions that you had before?
Well,
Certainly.
the maker of the motion should address that, but that was my understanding.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Thank you for clarifying, Attorney Wilson.
Absolutely.
With the exception of 5 and 6.
Yeah, we lost those already.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I believe you took those out of this motion, correct, Tom? Okay.
Absolutely.
You look at the, since we're still discussing it, I don't think you've announced the result of the vote. So what's the, I want to look at the minutes from the last meeting. If you can just pull those up quickly, Daphne, at the beginning of the packet. Thank you.
Yeah, this motion passed tonight 5-0 as well.
So you're restating that motion with the to approve the minor change as to find that's not a material change from the previous variance based on all these, and you're granting it based on all these conditions.
Correct.
That's what I'm hearing as the motion. I think that would be good to have as the final record.
Yes.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. Got it. Now you want to call the question? I'm not sure if you ever had, so.
No, I don't have any questions.
But can you ask for the vote? I didn't actually hear or see a vote. earlier.
Oh, okay, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0.
This is Ken Lambert. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate your time this evening, and I'm sorry this got drug out just a little bit. So,
Well, thank you. Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you much. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay, then moving on to the second item. Mark, would you please read the application for the second agenda item?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. This is an application for 4961 Borchers Beach Road in the town of Westport, which is in the county's R2 zoning district, residence zoning district. Steve Levy is the property owner and is requesting a variance to replace an existing single-family residence with one that is located 8 feet 6 inches, including an 18-inch overhang from the east side lot line, from the east lot line, I should say, which faces Borchers Beach Road. And our ordinance states that a structure on this parcel must be set back at least 20 feet from a Class D highway right-of-way line.
Okay. Do you have any other site inspection, any other information to share?
Just for consistency, are you opening the hearing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm opening the public part of this hearing at 5:20.
Thank you. I did go by and look at the site, and I have nothing else to add to what is in your packet. The applicant's materials, I did take the liberty of taking the site plan and adding some red dashes to it because the initial site plan submitted indicated the improper or incorrect setback lines. So that is the corrected setbacks are shown in red.
So we're talking 20, 20, 20.
Right.
Along the roads there. In other words, they have more room to build than what they thought.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This was an unusual situation. I worked with the town of Westport on this. I think whoever prepared this, their surveyor, whoever did this, applied a standard that was more restrictive than necessary.
Mhm.
Okay.
Is that because it's a corner lot? It has different setbacks than a,
It's more guided by the nature of the zoning classification and the classification of the roadway as a Class D highway.
Mhm. Okay.
It's in the fact that it's located, that it is a corner and it has all these frontages. Basically, the 20 feet is related to the roadway and it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a corner. It just, because it's a corner, that it basically almost encircles the property that way. So
Yeah, a highway that's kind of a dead end that doesn't go anywhere besides a neighborhood that does
Right.
nothing about.
Cruising down the highway.
Is Mr. Levy here to speak to the application?
I am. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I've had a chance to present this to Westport and the Joint Committee as well. And the intent there is to replace the home that's currently in existence with a fairly modest home that's actually set more into the lot, but because the original home is only 8.6 feet off of the lot line and basically centered between Borchers Beach Road and Simon Trail, I wanted to keep that consistency. If I were to put it where it had to fit, there are 3 60-foot pine trees that would need to come down, and it would encroach on the neighbor's house, which is to the north of it. And aesthetically, I think most of the neighbors would all be worse off because it wouldn't be centered on the existing grass and roads that are currently there. That was the purpose. That's where I propose it. That what's on the screen now is where I propose it. So you can see it's set back from that corner of Simon Trail and Borchers Beach Road, more so than the house. It's in line with where the house is now. And it keeps those pine trees. Those are actually about 60-foot pine trees. I'd originally had 100. It's about 60 feet.
And those are beautiful trees.
So you're basing this on the old setbacks, is that correct?
Well, yeah, but I'm still asking for a variance less than, I think the old ones I had were 30 and as Mark said, they're 20, but I'm asking for 8.6.
Yeah, to me, I'm wondering if the new setbacks were shown on the plan, if you'd be able to miss those trees, just iron it up. It seems like it might be possible. The other thing I'm just wondering, in your design, I'm assuming you found this house design and you love it and you want to go forward with it. The garage seems to stick out further than the house. And I'm wondering if there's a reason why the garage, if it was in the same line with the house, with the front of the house, you'd still have access to the garage.
Yeah, so you're correct. I did actually scoot the garage from the original plan, but did that so that it fits better within the confined space that I had. If I left it the way the plans originally had it, I'd actually have to scoot the house further north, which would take it even closer to the lot line and the trees. So so that's what, yeah.
Daphne, can you go back to the site plan again?
So you
All
see,
right, so
if it was in line there, I'd have to continue to site that house further north.
However, these setbacks drawn on this site plan are incorrect. Is that right, Mark
Exactly.
Opitz? These
Well,
are
the setbacks are shown as being from the, I'm confused by this one now, home with variance setbacks.
Yeah, this is where I'd like it to be, and those, those setbacks are 30 feet and not 20.
So I guess what I'm saying is perhaps this house will fit within the parameters of the setbacks without affecting the pine trees and without even needing a variance.
Correct.
If
That's, no,
Correct, except that the one of the problems is if you try to do that and set it within the 20 feet on each side, the whole property is sort of offset because of where the street is and where the setbacks are. So the house would be much closer to all the homes on Simon Trail. And effectively, I think they would all be worse off because you can see because of where the street is, they would all have a house much closer to them than what they have now or what is proposed. And then those on Borchers Beach Road, there's quite a distance between the street and the house.
Stated another way, I think what's misleading about this drawing is where it says Borchers Beach Road and Simon Trail, is not actually where the street is. Is that correct, Mr. Levy, Steve? What does the yellow show? Let's answer that
The
question.
yellow's supposed to be the street itself.
That's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah.
So the label Borchers Beach Road is really floating there, and it shouldn't.
Yeah,
Borchers
the
Beach
yellow
Road-
is the street.
So what he's saying is that 51-foot measurement and the 47-foot measurement
From the
is
edge
from
of
the
the
edge
street.
of pavement.
So
That's-
so the property line looks like maybe 35, 40 feet off of Borchard's Beach Road,
Correct.
off of the
off the
edge of
paved.
paving.
That is
Yeah,
correct.
30
Yeah, this is a better example. So if I did it the way we're talking here, that would all be moved, to the top of the screen. And you can see where the house would be, almost right in Simon Trail, or on the road part of Simon Trail.
The lot lines are not equidistant from the street. That's the
Gotcha.
problem.
Okay. I see. That's very helpful.
Yeah,
Setbacks, however, are measured from the center of the road. Is that correct, Mark?
In this case, yeah, for these rural, yes. We don't have anything like this in the city, so this is an unusual.
From the edge of the road. The setback is from the road right of way.
Exactly.
Tom.
Now I think that confuses things.
Yeah.
So the road right of way actually extends past the paved portion.
Daphne, can you go to the, well, here, I'll just pull it up so you don't have to open it. The way it reads is from the right-of-way line must be set back 20 feet from the Class D highway right-of-way line. Okay,
Highway
Tom,
line.
you did say that correctly, Tom. My apologies. I thought it was the center line.
So
Sorry,
if you
Tom.
go back to the site plan that we were looking at before, we were looking at the property line. That's the bold black line, and the house should be 20 feet back from that line on both sides, is effectively what I'm understanding.
If you show my red, the one that I modified, I don't know where exactly that is in the packet.
Yeah.
There we go.
There it is.
So, oh, you know what? I picked one. Okay, so I made this a little more confusing too. The site plan that I chose to show the correct setbacks on is not what he's proposing to build. That just shows if he had to adhere to the variance, to the setback standards, that's how the house would have to be positioned. I should not, I chose the wrong, I could have chosen a different site plan to alter.
But I think to the point that was trying to be made earlier, the house could fit and probably still avoid the 3 large trees and not require a variance. But it seems like maybe a little more care and attention to where that setback line is, and probably making sure that however these documents are being generated, that they're accurate. And I'm sorry, Mark, but I'm gonna have to leave. And so I think that's
Okay.
my contribution to the meeting, and I won't be able to stay on to participate longer, so I apologize for that.
Okay. That's why Dave Schultz gets the big bucks as the pinch hitter.
That's right.
That's right.
Everybody.
All right, Bob. Yeah, thank you.
All
Mark or
right, see you
Paul,
later.
if I could speak to this a little, if that's okay.
Sure, Tom, go ahead.
Okay, so and you're right, Mark, this is one that doesn't really show the plan. The one that you had before, which showed where the proposed layout of the house is very helpful, if you can pull that back up. So whether the setback is 30 or 20 feet, which it is 20 feet, the issue becomes the location of this on the site, as opposed to 3 things. 1, homes on Borchers Beach Road that are on the other side, homes on Simon Trail that are on the other side, and the road right of way. And you can see how he's tried to put this so it's centered in the lot, and it actually with that same equidistance from those other places. And also the idea is we have a home that's already there, and he's going to be taking that already away from the corner and moving it closer in to where it's supposed to be. So from our town resolution put together, you got a crazy corner lot, and you guys have probably seen this several times where sometimes it gets difficult to place a lot. I have no idea how that home got where it was located. Our belief here as staff at Westport is that Borchers Beach Road was laid out later, and it was laid out and made 66 feet from a roadway that wasn't when the park was put in. And so therefore it sucked in their right of way, or sucked in their setback from where it was. And you can see it's 51 feet from the road, but it's really close to the road right away. So I think what I tried to do, and our the joint committee and the town plan commission and the town board in the resolution that they looked at, try to set forward for you the hardship here because of the lot and the location of the other homes, and also the couple conditions that essentially protect those trees and build it here. So like I said, here it is. We're looking at this based on the configuration of the current home, the setbacks that create the house. Relocating it to comply with the current will affect the neighborhood, and the neighborhood has come out in favor of this location because it's going to change view sheds if it has to be moved backwards away from Borchers Beach and more towards Simon Way. So that's why we came up with what we came up. We thought this has been a pretty simple discussion all the way around. And I know you have a different standard to look at, but certainly the variances that he's requested are certainly consistent with the intent of the zoning code, which is to protect these neighborhoods. And so from Westport's perspective, we certainly hope that the zoning board of appeals would approve the variances as requested, so that house is centered in the actual location of the current usable space on that lot between the roads, and it can proceed in this way. So thank you.
And that's very evident. I just pulled it up on Google Maps, and just reiterating what you said, Tom, I think it's pretty evident of it really is equidistant. My first thought, thinking that the road right away was the edge of the road, kind of it steered me towards a different direction, but really seeing the whole picture now, it's pretty evident that I think, it's kind of equidistance between everything. I'd be very comfortable voting that way. So is there anybody else, I guess you can ask that, Paul, if there's anybody else that needs to speak?
Yeah, are there any other questions for Mr. Levy from the committee? If not, are there any other people attending the call that would like to speak about this variance?
Hello, I'm a
Paul, this is Dave. Oh, go ahead.
Hey, Dave.
No, go ahead. Let Phil go first.
This is Phil Simon, property owner right across the street, 4962 Borchers Beach Road. Just want to say we're totally fine with it, in favor of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Any other neighbors on the call?
No.
Okay, Dave, go ahead.
And furthermore, we didn't receive any statements. We didn't, from a public standpoint, we didn't receive any other statements from anyone else.
Okay.
I'll just jump in quick on my final opportunity here, but I think they've taken a difficult situation, taken the neighborhood into consideration. I think he's done, Mr. Levy's done a nice job to try to make this work and to save the aesthetics of the neighborhood. And the fact that all the letters of support, yeah, to me, I think this one makes sense.
Well,
I do have a question for Mr. Levy as well. So during construction, is there a plan in place to protect the existing trees?
Oh, yeah, for sure, there would be. Yeah, I mean, I don't want the trees to come down.
Sure.
There's probably two that have to come down that are frankly over the house right now and not ideal. That Don probably should have taken care of. A good thing he avoided any problems. But there's, other than those that are like over the house, yeah, because the trees are all beautiful and they're tall and they're aged. And I stated to Westport too, just because I think this is on the record, I wasn't taking those trees down irrespective of what kind of a vote I ended up getting. So.
Okay.
well, I have a negative opinion here, but should we close the public part of it?
Just one thing, I had misspoken. We did get an email from Brian Whelan, 4954, Brian and Kate Whelan, 4954 Borges Beach Road. That they said the issuance of the requested variance would be beneficial to the neighborhood. And I just am double checking yeah, I think that was in your packet. Oh, there's some other ones too, aren't there? Okay, thanks for going through the packet. Shit. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, Mark,
so at
it's
this-
like the whole neighborhood is the
Yeah,
support of this.
I had misspoken, and the way I had this organized in my file, where they were jumbled together, so I lost track of them. So if you can go through the packet quickly, just for the record, we have Brian
Okay.
Whelan, which I just mentioned, and then we have Robert and Patty Brown, 4968 or whatever it is, Borges Beach Road. In support, we have Sherry and Steve Levy in support, and Dan and Peggy Lee, 4956 Borges Beach. Was there one more? And Ron and Diane Koch,
Mark.
4984 Simon Trail.
Well, all
Yeah.
these look kind of similar.
Yeah,
Well,
Form
they're
letter.
form letter,
Right.
right. That's what it
differences
is.
accumulated over time. Was there anything else, Daphne? Is there another one?
No, that's all.
Okay.
All right, then I guess at this point, we would close this portion of the hearing and discuss as a board or as a committee. Mark, go ahead.
All right. The problem I see is he has more room to have this house on this lot than what is shown. And if he were to just move it back slightly and get it within the setbacks where he would not require a variance, everything would be fine. And basically, I am against granting a variance in a situation where it doesn't have to be.
Good point.
So I think in normal circumstances, I would agree with you, Mark, and especially because it's a new construction, right? It could go anywhere it wants. I think that the big thing is that the road setback is so far off of the edge of the road that it really distorts. In a normal circumstance, that road isn't 51 feet. They built this, as they said, to be a highway. That'll never happen. And so I believe he had, in a normal circumstance where that 51 is, that's your 20. Or maybe you add 5 feet onto that for your sidewalk, right? And so
Not
he
9
wouldn't
feet
be
for the,
over that. Yeah, he wouldn't be over that in that case. It really comes down to this road being laid out as this Highway D classification when it obviously isn't. And so that's my job. That, along with the odd shape, there's no line. There's no line of housing fronts that you really have to, keep into consideration. And when you look at the overall Google map, it really puts it in the kind of in the center of everything. It pushes it off that corner where Simon Trail meets Borchers Beach. It still keeps it away from that house straight to the north, and it really keeps it in between the houses on either side. I understand your concern, and that was my initial thought on this too, is it's a new house and it can fit within the boundaries, but when you take into effect these other things, I'm kind of compelled to grant this. I guess those are my thoughts.
Well, it's not up to us to decide. It's up to the zoning. The zoning dictates the setbacks. And just because we think it looks better in an aerial view, it is beside the point. You know, our job as a committee or as a board is to look at what the requirements are. And if there's a variance request and there's a reason to violate those, then we can pass it. But I'm saying that by moving this house maybe 5 feet, maybe 6 feet, it will basically be in the same location, but it would fulfill all the setback requirements. So I am adverse.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate that wasn't drawn up to be accurate in the first place, right? If we had
Can you
the
go back
20
to
feet-
that other drawing, Mark, or Daphne?
And I agree with you, Dave, for sure.
Essentially, are you talking about the other one, Paul? So if you take the one that we've been talking from, you know, this red line that you see here on the map in front of you, on the right side, that is literally 2/3 of the way from the edge of the property line to the black dash line. I mean, because that's 20 feet as opposed to 30. So that's 2/3. Apply that same dimension to that other drawing now. Just mentally have that in your head and apply that here. So take that, yeah, basically where that house is set. Yeah, exactly where Daphne is showing is where that 20 feet is. That would be, that's the minimum setback requirement, of which only the garage is sticking forward a little bit.
So
I guess
then, yeah, that maybe comes back to my first comment, and if that garage goes back, I think you're right, Mark, then there's no variance required.
Or if you move the entire house back 4 feet, it would all be within the requirements. Once again, the way I look at it is if this was a square lot or a rectangular lot and you had setbacks and you had a house and it could fit anywhere inside there and you decide to stick it 4 feet into the setback, shame on you, you know? That's what we've got these zoning requirements for. And it's not like we're telling him he can't do it. And it's not like we're telling him he has to change completely where the house sits on the lot. I'm just saying, move it back a couple of feet or 4 feet or whatever it takes, 6 feet, so that it sits in the setbacks.
Well, I would also like to see, you know, before I could make a judgment, to see an updated drawing that shows everything compiled together. I understand what Mark is saying, you know, take a look at this drawing and apply it to this drawing, to a second drawing. I would like to see everything kind of compiled correctly.
Maybe a little better site plan with the house located. I mean,
Correct.
quite honestly, we've got some kind of nice sketches on here, which
Yes.
aren't legal. And basically, you know, to put a colored picture of it onto an aerial view of it doesn't actually tell me that's exactly where the house is going to be. So
Let me ask you, would it make any sense to table this till a corrected site plan could be delivered?
Well, that's a good question, Dave. I think we've certainly, you know, done that in the past. Mark, is that something that we could?
That's fine. I feel kind of bad that I didn't require that. I just knew that Westport was being supportive of it, so I just kind of, anyway, yes, you can do that.
Well, I
So
am leaning toward doing that because I would like to see an updated plan. And as you know, we're discussing some of the tweaks I don't feel are major changes to the plan. And this applicant has that opportunity to do so, whereas other applicants, they don't really have that luxury of being able to shift things around, therefore requiring a variance.
I like that idea because I think,
Can I
I
have a-
think,
can I
I
have a
think you might
minute?
find,
Oh,
And with all due respect to Steve and Tom, you know, even if all the neighbors say, oh yeah, we think it's fine. That's, that's not what
no, I get it.
we base
Hey,
our
Mark,
our decisions
I
on.
think Tom had a comment, you know,
Yeah, and I was
since
gonna
we,
say, he's my fellow staff, my fellow colleague in staffing.
so he
the
can.
For a joint
Okay.
zoning committee, so if you'd like to give him that deference, I would.
Yeah.
appreciate it.
No,
Go
and
ahead, Mr. Wilson.
I completely understand the comments on what you're talking about and absolutely agree. The zoning board of appeals looks at this different than our plan commissioner or town board would, no doubt. And I let them know that so that they're aware. And the interesting thing that you've talked about is somehow postponing action on this to a date to allow you to get more information, which I think is totally appropriate. And what it also allows is Steve Levy the chance to take those setbacks, see if he can finagle that house in those and come back to you if he needs to. Or he may say, hey, I looked at this now with 20-foot setbacks and this just works. So I think that's all appropriate, and it allows him an opportunity to just take a chance to look at that one more time with those 20-foot setbacks, and it allows you time to get what you want before you can make a decision. So that's all I wanted to come on and say, is I think that you've come up with at least a resolution for the issues that you're going through in your head, and allow Steve some time just to do one more shot at looking at this with the required setbacks that are there, and maybe it works, maybe it'll work great now. So anyway, Mark, that's why I wanted to jump in here, just to say that you seem like your commissioners here are on the right track.
Well, let me just say this. If Steve looks at this, gets it drawn up professionally, moves the house back to his satisfaction, he doesn't even have to come back to us. He
Right,
can just go get his building permit.
Yeah, you just
Correct.
withdraw and you're done.
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, I think
Good-
the
good
opportunity
point, Mark.
here, for you, Mr. Levy, is you're obviously hearing that the board would like to see an updated site plan that shows the correct setbacks. If you, in the course of doing that, well, your first choice is to just want to withdraw your request and build it according to, then you don't even have to come back here. But if you decide you wish to proceed with your variance request, then you'll need to have a site plan that shows the correct 20-foot setbacks. And then I would recommend having the house laid out on it as you're
Professionally.
requesting, or also lay out the house as it would be according to as Mark Wolford is describing. And then if that layout with the shift of the house has some hardships associated with it, and I think encroaching upon the trees, the drip line of the trees and all that, I think is, that's a compelling reason in my view. That's not my decision to make, but that could be a reason that somebody would cite. But if there's a reason why you don't want to do that, still want to proceed with the variance, I think the board, what you're hearing is they want to know what those reasons are to help provide justification for granting the variance.
Okay. Well, I always have the option of building a tiny house. I mean, if that's, in other words, if we're not receptive to a variance because I can fit it anywhere I want, why would the argument not be, well, then just build a small house? 1,000 square foot house.
Steve, I think the point is now with a 10-foot change in all of those setbacks, you add a lot. So the lines that are on here aren't the lines. They're, in fact, it appears that all of your house now is in the appropriate setback for Borchers Beach Road, except for the garage. And
Go back
and
to
you got to, so you may be in really good shape once you just draw it on there and figure it out. But it's either that or you stand a chance of getting told no here.
Daphne,
Exactly, Tom. That's
Right,
exactly
and
my
Mr.
point.
Exactly, and Mr. Levy, it's not that we don't trust Mark's drawing, his scaling, that 20-foot setback. We just need to make sure that we have accurate drawings from which to make a decision.
Sure.
I think Daphne.
Actually, nobody is saying you need to build a smaller house. You
No,
just need
not
to
at all.
excite it.
I don't know. In fact, you might be happily surprised, Steve, that basically the house is fine the way it is. Or like I said, just 3-4 feet, whatever.
Daphne, can you go back to the drawing I did, please? Thank you. So, Mr. Levy, this is what I've been trying to, I do wish in hindsight, I just immediately said, give us a new site plan. That this would have maybe saved some other consternation tonight. Look at the red dashed lines here. That's what you're entitled to build within.
Yeah. No, that's fine. And that's fine. I can go back and take a look, and that's fine. What I'm trying to understand, and I appreciate the time, it's taking you guys a lot of time, so I appreciate it, is that even if you look at that and you say, okay, you can slide that over, you can slide that back and everything like that, no matter what, in order to save those trees, the house is going to be much closer to Simon Trail than it is to Borchers Beach Road, and it's going to look totally off center. And so everyone's going to be worse off aesthetically. But if you're saying that we can't react to that, that's what I'm trying to get at. That's why I was saying the tiny house is because no matter what, if I fit it within 20 by 20, because of where the street is laid out, the street's not laid out symmetrically. And so the lot line on Simon Trail starts much closer to Simon Trail than the lot line on Borchers Beach. So no matter what I come up with, the house is going to look off center to anybody driving around the street or to the neighbors or things. I was trying to mitigate that. And that's why I was saying.
Right. Well, we have closed is it okay for him to be commenting, Mark? Even though that we're.
I mean, I guess if somebody recognizes and has questions for the applicant, that's one thing.
I would just respond that I think we tried to lay this out, but I think once you take a look at it, I think you'll find that your house can stay exactly where it wants to be, and that your garage might just have to shift back so that it's in line with the front of the house. And that would be the only change that you have to make. I'm not positive, but that's the way it looks. So I don't think we're saying you really need to change anything. Just show the lot line or the setbacks where they are, and your house can stay at the exact same location.
Okay.
My guess is
Sorry
it'll
about
all
that. I
fit.
have kids yelling in the background.
My guess is it'll all fit right in there perfectly, just the way you want it. And it'll be centered on the two streets, and you'll be, within the setbacks, and you won't even need a variance.
Okay. Fair
But
enough.
It has to be done professionally so that we know exactly how big the house is,
Sure.
where the setbacks are, et cetera.
Sure. Fair
So
enough.
Mark, do we need to take a vote on this, or is this just a statement?
I think a motion to postpone,
Okay.
To allow the applicant time to present a revised site
Okay.
plan is entirely in order.
I'll
Which
make that
someone-
motion.
Okay, so Mark, you're making that motion based on just acquiring, accurate information, preparing an accurate drawing, and sliding the building to see if it fits within those setbacks.
Correct.
Any other modifications to be made to the plan to fit within? Okay. Is there a second?
I'd second it.
Was that Dave?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so motion carries 5-0 to give the applicant an opportunity to take a look at this again and then decide if they'd like to go through with the variance or not.
Thank you for your time.
No, thank you. So with that, is there any other business from any of the committee members? If not, then is there a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the meeting adjourned at 5:57.
Thank you,
Good luck,
everyone.
Steve.
Nice
Steve, I'll
work.
tell you, I think we're pretty
Appreciate
happy.